I lied to my 8-year-old daughter and told her mommy was dead, buried under a false name in some podunk cemetery in rural Ohio, because the truth would have shattered her more than any grave could. It was the only way to protect her from the monster wearing my skin. The one who'd stolen my life on the exact day my husband was born, November 14th. A date she'd chosen like a twisted anniversary gift. And in the weeks that followed, as I watched from the shadows in this borrowed husk of a body, she lost it all: the mansion, the Mercedes, the marble-countered facade of perfection we'd built in the hills of Silicon Valley. My name is Luna Hale, or at least it was before the swap. Now, I'm a ghost in my twin sister's shell, Evelyn Voss, the biotech wunderkind who'd clawed her way to the top of Voss Dynamics on lies and stolen code. We were identical once, down to the freckle on our left collarbone. But Evie always hated that mirror image. She saw me as the soft one, the family girl who'd married young and popped out a kid instead of chasing venture capital. I saw her as the shark, circling deals in boardrooms while I raised Sophie in our cozy Palo Alto split level, baking muffins for PDA meetings and pretending Evie's world of NDAs and non-competes didn't exist. It started unraveling 6 months ago, on a sweltering July afternoon when the FBI kicked in my front door. They dragged me out in yoga pants and a tank top, Sophie screaming from the neighbor's porch as they cuffed me for embezzling $12 million from Voss Dynamics. Me, Luna Hale, part-time graphic designer, volunteer soccer coach. I never even balanced a checkbook without Quicken. But the paper trail was ironclad: wire transfers from dummy accounts I'd supposedly opened in the Caymans, emails from my IP address greenlighting offshore shells. The feds had me dead to rights. Or so they thought. Evie swooped in like the savior sister, posting my bail with a check that could buy a small country. "We'll fix this, Lou," she whispered in the holding cell, her manicured nails digging into my arm. "Your family. I know you didn't do it." But her eyes, our eyes, gleamed with something feral, like a cat toying with a half-dead mouse. That night, over takeout Thai in her penthouse overlooking the bay, she laid it out: an experimental neural transfer, Project Echo, her crown jewel at Voss. We swap for a week. You hide out in my life, jet to Monaco, sip rose, let the heat die down. I'll play the grieving sister, push the narrative that you're innocent until the real thief slips up. I should have said no. God, I should have. But Sophie was terrified, clinging to my leg during the arraignment, and Evie waved NDAs like fairy dust. It's reversible, Lou. Cutting edge. Safer than Botox. She laughed, that brittle laugh of hers, the one that echoed through our childhood in that drafty Queens apartment where Mom chain-smoked menthols and Dad vanished before I could walk. We were survivors. Evie and I, her with the corner office, me with the minivan. What harm in borrowing her armor for a bit? The procedure happened in a sterile lab beneath Voss HQ. All chrome and humming servers. The air thick with ozone and regret. They strapped me to a gurney, electrodes kissing my temples like cold lovers. Evie across from me, smirking in her white coat. "Trust me," she said, and then the world dissolved into white noise, a symphony of synapses firing, memories bleeding like ink in water. When I woke, I was her, taller in heels, sharper in angles, tasting coffee like it was laced with ambition. She blinked for my body, stretched my yoga-toned arms, and grinned. Feels good to be domestic. The first few days were a blur of high-stakes calls and private jets. I fumbled through Evie's calendar, lunches with Saudi princes, pitches to Sequoia, impersonating her with scripts from her assistant, a mousy guy named Trent who eyed me like I'd grown a second head. Meanwhile, I was back home, playing the beleaguered wife, fielding reporters and soothing Sophie with ice cream bribes. Evie texted from my phone, nailed the deposition. "You're a natural liar, sis." I wanted to vomit, but the swap was working. The feds backed off, sniffing a framed job, and whispers turned to the real culprit, some disgruntled engineer Evie had fired. By day 5, the crack showed. I found the hidden drive in her desk, terabytes of VOS code. Siphoned not by me, but by her. Evie had cooked the books herself, funneling funds to a black market AI project that could hack elections or crash markets. She'd pinned it on me because I was the easy mark, the sister with no alibi, no Rolodex. Our childhood pact, forged over Mom's grave when we were teens, we cover for each other. But this was her escape hatch, and I was the fall guy. Panic clawed at me. I confronted her over a burner phone, voice trembling in her clipped Valley Girl accent. "Undo it, Evie. Now." Silence. Then her laugh, my laugh, echoing from my own throat. "Can't, Lou." The windows closed. Neural decay sets in after 72 hours. You're me now. And I'm free. Free to bury the evidence. To let Luna Hale rot in federal prison for a crime that bought her a corner suite and yacht in the Mediterranean. Rage boiled. Hot and American as a summer blackout, raw, unfiltered. The kind that fuels manifestos and midnight drives with the windows down. I could have gone public. Blown the whistle from her Twitter feed, 150K followers. All tech bros and wellness influencers. But Sophie, my baby, with her gap-toothed smile and obsession with Frozen, would lose everything if the truth spilled. Child services, tabloid vultures, the whole circus. No. Revenge had to be surgical, personal. I'd become the ghost in Evie's machine, dismantle her empire from the inside, make her choke on the luxury she'd stolen. That's when I started planning. Sleepless nights in her king-sized bed, sheets like silk nooses, scrolling dark web forums for neural hacks, anything to reverse the swap or trap her in my skin forever. I hired a fixer through Trent, an ex-NSA ghost named Reyes who didn't ask questions for $50,000 wired from Evie's slush fund. "You want leverage on VOS?" he rasped over encrypted line. I got dirt that'd make Snowden blush. Weeks blurred into a fever dream. I played Evie flawlessly. Keynotes at TechCrunch Disrupt. Schmoozing at Burning Man after-parties. All while seeding leaks, anonymous drops to Wired about Echo's ethical black holes. Evie, in my body, played the martyr. Tearful interviews on CNN. My sister's been framed by corporate greed while quietly liquidating assets. Prepping to bolt. She even started dating my husband, Marcus, lazy. Charming Marcus, the software dev who'd proposed on a Napa Vineyard tour. I saw the photos on her Insta, my hands on his chest, my lips on his neck. Betrayal stacked on betrayal. A house of cards in earthquake country. Sophie called me Aunt Evie now. Her voice tinny over FaceTime. "When's Mommy coming back?" I'd choke out Evie's patter. "Soon. Peanut. Be good for Daddy." But inside, I was fracturing. The mirror showed her face, hawkish nose. Perpetual smirk, but my eyes, haunted and hollow. I miss my calluses from gardening, the stretch marks from Sophie's birth. Evie had them now. weaponized them into sob stories for sympathy points. The hook sank deeper on November 14th, Marcus's birthday. I'd flown back from a conference in Austin, landing at SFO just as the sun dipped into the Pacific. Evie had planned a surprise dinner at the French Laundry. My body dolled up in a red sheath that screamed midlife crisis. I tailed them from the shadows. Reyes in the passenger seat of a rented Escalade, binoculars trained on the valet stand. They laughed my laugh, his easy guffaw as they linked arms. Something in me snapped. A wire shorting in the rain. I couldn't let it stand. That night, after they stumbled out buzzed on Napa cabs, I made the call. Not to the cops. Not to Marcus.
To Sophie.
I drove to the house in Evie's Tesla, autopilot humming like a dirge, parked 2 blocks away, and slipped in through the unlocked side gate. The alarm code was still our anniversary, 071520.
Inside,
the air smelled of garlic and regret. Takeout boxes from the party strewn like confetti. Sophie was in her room. Fairy lights twinkling over posters of Elsa and Anna. She looked up from her iPad, eyes widening at Aunt Evie. "Hi, sweetie," I whispered, kneeling, my voice cracking despite the script. "I have to tell you something important." "About Mommy." Her face crumpled before I even spoke, like she knew. Kids always do. "Mommy. She got really sick. And she died tonight. But she loved you so much. More than stars." She wailed, a sound that hollowed me out, and I held her, my arms, but not my scent, rocking until she hiccuped into sleep. Downstairs, Marcus snored in our bed, oblivious. Evie? She'd left a note on the fridge, gone for a drive. Be back by midnight.
Love. Lou.
I crumpled it, heart pounding. This was the controversy. The line crossed, orphaning my own child with a lie to bait the trap. Moral?
Hell no.
Necessary? In the dead of night.
Yeah.
By dawn. The headline screamed, Voss heiress's twin dead in crash, suspicious timing on husband's birthday. I'd staged it perfectly, Reyes's guy tampering with the Jag's brakes on a foggy Highway 1 curve. No bodies. Just wreckage and a DNA match from my hairbrush. Evie, trapped in my skin, was the prime suspect now, fleeing the scene, assets frozen. Every sin I'd leaked circling like vultures. She called from a burner, voice shrill in my old timbre. You bitch. What did you do? I gave you what you wanted, I hissed back. Evie's polished tone laced with venom. Freedom. Run. Sis. See how far my legs take you. She didn't run far. Tracked her to a Fleabag motel in Reno. Holed up with a bottle of Grey Goose and bad TV. Reyes burst in first, zip ties and a silenced Beretta for show. I followed, gun heavy in her manicured hand, the room reeking of bleach and despair. Evie me, curled on the bed, mascara rivers down my cheeks. Lou? Is that you? We stared. Mirrors of mirrors. The betrayal hung thick, her greed for my normalcy, my theft of her power. You framed me, I said, voice steady. Made me the villain so you could play hero. Sophie paid for it. Marcus.
Me.
It was for us, she sobbed. Mom's cancer ate everything. I built Voss to save us. You were expendable.
Lies.
All of it. The drive Reyes pulled from her duffel, proof she'd sold Echo to Chinese operatives. $12 mill for regime hacks. I'd borne her crime. Her secret, the one where she dosed mom's chemo with placebos to test neural blockers, hastening the end for inheritance cash. Controversy peaked there. Gun trembling. Kill her? Frame it as suicide. Let Luna take the fall eternal? Or mercy? Drag her back for trial. Watch Sophie testify. I chose the gray. A bullet grazed to the shoulder. Anonymous tip to the feds. She lived, cuffed and screaming as they hauled her to Leavenworth. You're me now. You'll rot in it.
But the twist?
As they wheeled her out, Reyes handed me a VOS flash drive, Evie's backup plan. A reversal code, keyed to our synced DNA. She'd planned to swap back all along. After the heat died. Leave me in her body. Indicted for the leaks. The truth reversed. I wasn't the victim. I was the mirror she needed to reflect clean.
Or was I?
In that motel neon flicker, I deleted the code. Let her rot in my skin. Mine now fit like a glove, ambition's edge honed sharp. Weeks later, Sophie called me Mommy Evie, wary but warming. Marcus? We rekindled, his touch foreign on her curves. VOS stock tanked 40%, but I pivoted, whistleblower turned CEO, testifying before Congress on Echo's horrors. A happy ending? For some. Tragic for the twin bonds severed. The lies that birthed a new me. Readers debate. Was it justice? Or just another swap in the game of American reinvention? I wake some nights, tasting her coffee, wondering if the ghost is me. The reinvention wasn't clean. It itched like cheap wool against sweat-damp skin. This life of Evie's, board meetings in glass towers where VCs in Patagonia vests nodded like I held the keys to immortality. I was Luna Hale.
Damn it.
With dirt under my nails from weeding Sophie's school garden plots. Not this sterile grind of pitch decks and performance metrics. But here I was, 6 weeks post-Reno, striding into VOS Dynamics' atrium like I owned it, which, legally,
I did now.
Evie's arrest had triggered a shareholder revolt. I, as Evelyn Voss, seized control via a poison pill clause she'd buried in the bylaws. Irony? She'd written it to screw me if I ever sniffed too close. Sophie adjusted first. Kids being rubber bands stretched and snapped back. Mommy Evie smells like perfume now, she said one Saturday. Nose wrinkled as I packed her lunch, organic turkey on gluten-free. Because Evie's world demanded perfection. Marcus grunted approval from the sports section, oblivious to the farce. We'd moved into her penthouse overlooking the Bay Bridge. The old house sold to cover legal fees. He thought it a upgrade. I saw bars on a cage. Nights. He'd reach for me, her body, lithe and unscarred by C-sections, and I'd fake the moans. Mind replaying the swap's white-hot rip. Betrayal wasn't just Evie's. It was the universe's joke, handing me power at the cost of touch. Reyes became my shadow. A grizzled Latino in faded Ranger's cap, nursing black coffee in the lobby while I glad-handed senators. You deleted the code.
Boss.
No going back. His voice was gravel, etched from Baghdad's and Benghazis. I'd hired him full-time now. $200,000 retainer for consulting, but really for the dirt. Dossiers on Evie's lovers, a senator's wife, a rival CEO. Her offshore nests, Belize banks fat with blood money. We leaked strategically. ProPublica drops on Voss's ties to Cambridge Analytica 2.0, watching her empire crumble like overbaked pie crust. But power's a drug, laced with paranoia. Whispers in the halls. Evelyn's off since the crash. Trent, her old assistant, quit with a severance gag order. eyes darting like he'd seen the devil. I doubled security. Installed Faraday cages in the home office to block neural pings. Evie had booby-trapped Echo with backdoors. Sleeper codes that could fry a host brain if triggered. Slept with a Glock under the pillow. Dreaming of her in Supermax Orange. Plotting from a concrete cell. The controversy brewed public. 60 Minutes wanted an exclusive. The woman who exposed her own company. I demurred. But the op-eds flew. Feminist icon or corporate saboteur. One from the Wall Street Journal called me Voss's vengeful Valkyrie, implying I'd offed my twin for the throne. Marcus laughed it off over cores at a Giants game. But Sophie overheard, drawing stick figures of me with devil horns. Is it true?
Mommy?
Did you kill Aunt Luna? I knelt in the kitchen, bay fog smudging the windows, and spun more yarn.
No.
Baby. Aunt Luna. She was sick inside, like a bad wire. I fixed it so no one else gets hurt. Lies piled like driftwood. But her hug, small arms fierce, grounded me. That's when the decisions turned jagged. Evie's board pushed for Echo's resurrection. Think of the patents. Evelyn, Alzheimer's cures. Not just hacks. I vetoed, citing ethics, but privately greenlit a black site tweak, neural blockers for riot control. Pitched to DHS. Controversial? Selling swaps to feds to pacify protests? In Trump's America, or whatever post-midterm mess we were in, it was Tuesday. Climax crept like fog off the water. Evie's trial loomed in federal court. San Francisco. All marble and malice. Prosecutors painted Luna Hale as the mastermind, embezzler, traitor, the fall guy turned Frankenstein. Her defense? Temporary insanity from grief over the crash. Bullshit. I'd seeded the jury pool with Voss whistleblowers. But she had aces, a crooked judge from her PAC donations. A star witness, Marcus. He testified day 3. Suit rumpled. Eyes wet. Luna, my wife, she changed after bail. Erratic. Talking to herself. I think. She wanted out.
Out?
Of marriage. Of motherhood? The courtroom gasped as he produced suicide notes, forged in her hand. My hand, blaming me for pushing her to the edge. Planted during one of our rekindlings, when I'd stepped out for wine. Betrayal redux, my husband, complicit or conned, selling me for alimony scraps. I watched from the gallery. Evie's face a mask, cool. Collected, while inside. Fury held. Reyes texted, abort revenge. She's winning.
No.
This was the peak. The American Gothic showdown.
Post-recess.
I slipped into the judge's chambers, Reyes distracting security with a smoke alarm hack. The envelope? Prints of Marcus and Evie's affair pics. Time-stamped pre-swap. Choose, I whispered to the bailiff, who moonlit as a Voss contractor. By closing, the judge flipped, mistrial on tampering grounds. Evie remanded pending appeal. She cornered me that night in the detention wing, plexiglass and mics. Her in my skin, sallow from fluorescence. You think you won.
Lou, this body.
It's failing. Your migraines. Your IBS. I'm you. Rotting from the inside. Her smile twisted. The freckle mocking. Swap back. Or Sophie loses her real mom. The threat landed like a gut punch. But Reyes had the play, a black market neuralist in Oakland. Ex-boss. Willing to reverse for $1 mil and immunity. Decision time, controversial as hell. Sacrifice Evie's life, mine now, to reclaim my own. or doom her to my ailments while I ruled. I wired the cache. Met the doc in a warehouse reeking of solder and sin. Straps again. Electrodes humming. As the machine whirred, memories flooded. Childhood forts. Mom's last breath. Sophie's first step in my arms. White noise. Wake up. I blinked into my eyes, soft, scarred, familiar. Evie across, gasping in her shell, tube snaking.
No.
I was free. The doc nodded, success. But the twist reversed hard. As medics rushed in Reyes's anonymous 911, she wheezed. The code. It was bait. Real reversal kills the host.
You.
You're dying, sis. Panic surged. My chest tightened, not IBS. But Echo's failsafe, a telomere accelerator. Aging the thief, body exponentially. Evie had rigged it months ago. Her final maw. In her skin, I'd been preserved, youth serum laced in the transfer.
Now?
Wrinkles crept. Vision blurred. Doctors later confirmed. Accelerated senescence. 6 months tops. I stumbled from the warehouse. Reyes driving me home. Sophie waited. Pigtails and pancakes. Mommy's back, she squealed. Marcus? Confronted with the pics. He blubbered apologies. Packed a bag. Voss? I resigned via email. Bored in chaos. Ending? I had weeks to wrap gifts. Write letters, happy for Sophie. Adopted by my sister-in-law. Tragic for me. The swap's ultimate victim. Debated, was Evie's bomb genius or cowardice? My revenge pyrrhic or poetic? As I fade in a hospice bed overlooking the bay, I taste victory's ash. American dream. Rise. Fall. Swap again. Hospice smelled like wilted lilacs and regret, the kind that seeps into curtains and never airs out. Bayview Manor in Oakland, a boutique facility for the terminally affluent, private rooms with ocean views. Morphine drips disguised as for hydration. I had the corner suite, windows framing the Golden Gate like a postcard from hell. Sophie visited Tuesdays and Fridays, her small hand in mine, tracing the new lines etching my face. You look tired, Mommy, she'd say, oblivious to the monitors beeping my countdown. Marcus? He came once, flowers wilting faster than my resolve, mumbling about custody papers. I signed them in a fog, gifting him the remnants of my life insurance, the 401k crumbs Voss hadn't clawed back. Evie rotted in ADX Florence, Supermax solitaire for traders, 23 hours a day in a 7x12 box. Her empire reduced to smuggled commissary ramen. Letters came filtered. Her scrawl jagged. You should have let me die in the crash. Now we're both ghosts. Buried secrets surfaced in leaks. Her fling with our high school chem teacher. The accidental OD of Mom's oncologist. The betrayal deepened. She'd swapped us not just for the money, but to erase me. The weak link who'd begged her to go legit after Mom's tests. I'd borne it all. The crime of her ambition. Gagging on placebos while she cashed the checks. Reyes visited daily. His cap tipped low. Smuggling bootleg tequila in a thermos. Finished strong. Luna. Strong? I laughed. A wheeze that rattled the rails. The neuralist had confirmed Echo's poison targeted foreign DNA, unraveling telomeres like frayed shoelaces. 6 months became 3, then weeks. Controversial choices haunted. Should I have mercy-killed Evie in Reno? Spared the slow melt? Or exposed the swap on live TV? Damned Sophie to foster care headlines?
Nah.
Revenge was the thread, dark and tensile, weaving through boardroom coups and courtroom blindsides. Public frenzy peaked with the Voss fallout. Hearings in D.C., me via Zoom from the bed. Gaunt in flannel. Dropping bombs. Echoes military apps. Neural spies for black ops. Senators thundered. MS. Voss. You profited from this. I smirked. Evie's ghost in my eyes. Call me Hale. And yeah, until I didn't. Stocks cratered 80%. Lawsuits snowballed. I funneled settlement scraps to a victim fund, families of regime-hacked casualties in Eastern Europe. Ghosts I'd never meet. Sophie sensed the shift. Her drawings evolving from devils to angels with wings clipped. Will you go to heaven? Mommy? Heaven? In this American tableau. Tech gods fallen. Twins tangled in silicon sins, probably not. But I spun tales. I'll watch from the stars.
Peanut.
Pick the biggest one. Marcus hovered peripheral, dating a barista half his age. But he brought her weekly, forced family photos for the therapist. Therapy, my last controversial call, dragging us all into sessions with Dr. Patel, unpacking the crash as metaphor for our fractures. Luna's death was a rebirth, he'd pontificate.
Bull.
It was amputation. Twist loomed in week 4. A FedEx from Florence, Evie's legal team, actually a Voss holdout hacker. Inside, a vial of serum, unlabeled, and a note, reversals lie. This slows it. For Sophie. Science or sabotage? Reyes tested it clean. Telomere extender. Her final swap, power for penance. I dosed nightly, buying months, maybe years. But the mirror lied now, my body. Aged uneven, gray streaks, joints like rust. Evie's youth clung to the edges, a chimeric curse. Climax redux in the courtroom annex. Evie's appeal hearing. I wheeled in, oxygen mask fogging. Sophie on my lap. She saw me, us, and cracked, chains clinking as she lunged at the glass.
Thief.
Give it back. Bailiffs wrestled her down, Sophie buried in my neck, whimpering. The judge knew. Untainted. Recused on conflict. Case remanded indefinitely. Victory? Or limbo's joke? Nights blurred. Morphine dreams of the lab. Electrodes sparking. Evie smirking. I'd wake sweating. Reyes at the door with takeout foe. What's next?
Boss.
Next? Write the book, Swap Souls, a Silicon Valley reckoning, ghostwritten by a New Yorker scribe. Proceeds to neural ethics NGOs. Controversial? Glorifying revenge. Or catharsis for the framed. Sophie thrived in the chaos. Private school scholarships from my fund. Summers at Camp Mariposa. Marcus? Remarried the barista. Twins on the way. Betrayals echo. But I toasted from my bed. To new skins. Evie? Rumors of a shank in the yard. But she endured. Tough as Queen's asphalt. As spring fog rolled in, I stood shaky. Unaided for Sophie's 9th birthday. Cake from Kara's Cupcakes. Balloons bobbing like escaped dreams. Make a wish, she urged.
Eyes bright.
Eye blue. Candles guttering. For her unscarred heart. My unswapped soul. The serum worked. Doctors marveled at the miracle remission. Ending? Debated still. Happy in borrowed time. Tragic in the what-ifs. Did I win? Or just delay the fall? In America's tense theater, the curtain never fully drops. Remissions stretched like taffy. Sticky and unpredictable. 2 years now. The serum, a black market lifeline doled from Reyes's contacts in Shenzhen labs. I moved back to the old house. Bought cheap at auction. Repainting walls with Sophie's handprints in washable tempera. Voss was a husk. Rebranded as Hail Health, my oversight turning Echo's bones into legit neural therapies. PTSD blockers for vets. Memory aids for chemo fog. Ironic? Steering Evie's monster to mend the wounds it wrought. Board meetings via hologram. Me in jeans and Birks. Voice steady, but laced with my old lilt. No more valley veneer. Sophie bloomed. Braces glinting at soccer tryouts. Her team, the Valley Vipers, fierce. Unapologetic. Like you. Mom, she'd say. Mud-streaked after goals.
Mom.
Not Evie. Not the hybrid haunt. The swap scars faded. My body reclaimed. Stretch marks proud badges. Migraines managed with weed gummies from the Oakland dispensary. Marcus? Distant co-parent. His twins toddling at playdates. A reminder of paths not swapped. He apologized once. Over IPAs at the Stanford barn. I was blind.
Lou.
Thought you were. Her. Blind or willfully myopic. Forgiveness was my call. Controversial grace. Letting him coach Sophie's games without venom. Evie's letters tapered. Postmarks from appeals limbo. The box echoes your voice.
Lou.
Sing me a lullaby. I did. Taping folk tunes, Dylan covers from our girlhood mixtapes, mailed with legal briefs I'd ghosted for her pro bono. Buried secrets unearthed in therapy. The crime I'd borne wasn't just embezzlement, but Mom's death, Evie accelerating it for a patent windfall. Me dosed unknowingly during a sister spa day to test absorption. I'd confessed to Dr. Patel. Sobs racking. I killed her too? By proxy. Absolution?
Nah.
But Sophie drew me as a phoenix post-session. Flames licking but not consuming. Public U and lingered in podcasts swapped. The Voss twin saga. Hosted by some vice alum. Dissecting my morally ambiguous arc. Listeners rioted. Was the Reno Gray's heroic vigilantism or attempted murder? The lie to Sophie child abuse or protective ferocity? I guessed it once. Voice modulated. Dropping. Revenge isn't a straight line, it's a Mobius strip. Twisting back on you. Rating spiked. Book sales hit NYT. The advance funding Sophie's college, and a neural clinic in Queens for low-income kids. Climax echoed in a subpoena, DHS. Probing my consulting with Reyes on Riot Tech. Controversy crested. Testify. Expose Fed's dirty hands. Risk Sophie's safety. Or perjure. Shield the gray zones that bought my time. I chose the strip again, leaked docs to The Intercept. Redacted just enough. Hearings erupted. Me center stage in D.C. Oxygen ditched. Standing tall. America's dream is reinvention. I testified. Eyes on C-SPAN cams. But not on stolen souls. Evie watched from her cell. A smuggled TV flickering my win. Twist reversed final. A DNA audit from the clinic. Serum side effect. Chimeric cells lingering. I wasn't fully me. Evie's essence threaded my veins. A perpetual swap at cellular level. Dreams blended. Her boardroom triumphs. My playground picnics. Was I Luna redeemed? Or Evelyn deluded? Sophie noticed. Mid-hug. You smell like two moms sometimes. Wisdom from babes. Ending? The debate endures. Happy in hybrid harmony. Sophie launching to Stanford pre-med. Me penning sequels in the garden. Tragic in the eternal echo. Evie's appeals denied. Her last letter a haiku. Mirror cracks twice / whose face in the shards? slash yours.
Mine. Gone.
As fog lifts over the bay, I walk the hills, Reyes trailing like a faithful hound. Revenge's tension eases, but the dark hums, America's pulse, dramatic and disputed. Did I reclaim, or just recurse? You decide. Reader. The swap never truly ends.